If there is a job I want to do, it's scoring a video game. If there is a type of video game, it has to be RPG open world, because it's probably the hardest, but also the one which offers the most challenges and possibilities how to do things in music. And if there is one single RPG in the world I want to do, is this one, because it looks gorgeous. It's set in Bohemian lands, which is my country, and it's done by people who've made Mafia, which is one of my most favorite games up to date. Together with my colleague Adam Sporka, we wanted to send the Warhorse Studio some demo of our work. We actually wanted to offer our services as a tandem, as a team.
And then we were like, okay, so let's just finish this thing, and let's just schedule an appointment with some of them and just show them what we have. And then a friend of ours was like, guys, don't even bother. It makes no sense really, because someone is already like considered. And well, of course you can just send in your application or like your pitch, but don't really expect much really.
So we dropped it like, okay, whatever. And then literally the next day, I've got an email from Daniel Vavra saying me that actually that guy he had in mind is me. I was jumping like a monkey for quite some time. I was really very happy. It's an RPG, it's a sandbox kind of thing, because you can do things whatever you want. On the other hand, it's got a very strong story with a very strong character, with a very strong motivation. And the story, oh yeah, it's based on a historically accurate things, but yet it's still very heroic, it's still epic. It's a big story, it's a story like good for a huge Hollywood blockbuster. So what we wanted to achieve was a soundtrack which would offer this kind of film experience to the player. Not watching a film, but also playing it, being the main role in this huge, epic thing. I knew that I have kind of some borders, either by the story or by the environment, by the setting in the medieval times, in the Bohemian, everything else and all this. I also created some borders for myself to find this great, ideal place for music. Usually, the music in games is kind of sound design only. I mean, not too many strong melodies, not too many strong themes. It's like the composers think, well, we have 2, 3, 4 hours of music for a game which will last for 100 hours or something of gameplay. So the music shouldn't be that memorable, not to bother the player, when playing for the 25th and 26th and 27th time, and I don't know how much. One which I find really fantastic, it's from Kai Rosenkranz, and he was scoring the Gothic trilogy. And what I liked on this was that he went the opposite direction. He simply composed wonderful music, which was so wonderful that, yeah, you have heard it for 25th, 26th, 27th time. But you still enjoyed it, and we were actually looking forward to hear it again. And this is something I wanted to achieve with Kingdom Come Deliverance and with its soundtrack. Working with Daniel Vavra was just great. When we met for the first time, it was a in a pub, of course. We were talking about how the soundtrack should look like. And he just ordered a beer and he started like, okay, so how do we do that? I don't like the way Hans Zimmer is doing. I would prefer this kind of a John Williams style, much more melodies. But we are Czechs, so we should go for some inspiration by Zdeněk Liška and Luboš Fischer and these great composers of the Czech New Wave. Also, we should be inspired by Czech classical music. I would say Smetana and Dvořák, not completely sure about Martin or Janáček. These are maybe too modern for what we are doing. So, I mean, like he came, for the first meeting with the composer, and he already had quite precise vision of how the music should be. This is great.
Dan gave us a bunch of references. He had a very clear vision, it was even in the design document, right? Like roughly speaking, what parts of the soundtrack should be present. But the actual question how to do it or what would be the content, it was pretty much up to us. Adaptive music is when you have a soundtrack which is not static. Basically, it responds to whatever is happening in the game. So, you probably want a different music when you are walking around the villages and different music when you walk around the fields. And then when you engage in some combat, then of course the music needs to be different as well, right? Like a musically sound transitions from one part of the music to another. So basically, I developed our own technology for this. It's called Sequence Music Engine. Every bar in our music is annotated, right? So we know when the first beat comes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So when entering the combat, we always wait for the first of the next bar and start the music only then, because you can have like abrupt changes in music, but it's always important that you wait for some, let's say, musically logical unit. Ideally, you want the phrase to complete before you move on. Sometimes it's not really possible, so you at least wait until the end of the bar.
The music merges from one track to another if needed, seamless way, and you actually don't hear it like there is no crossfade, nothing. It sounds as if it was written that way. Anytime, you stop playing the music abruptly or you change abruptly or you make something ugly with the music, it simply doesn't, in films this doesn't happen. It's just the film composers, they do it the smooth way. It sounds natural, it sounds as it's flowing all the time. And this natural flow of music, of rhythm, of everything, is something we wanted to achieve.
2014, at the end of 2014, we pitched our adaptive music system. And the rest of the team, they were like, well, this sounds good. Can you implement it? Can you make it happen? And we were like, yeah, we guess so. And so they gave us some time to implement a proof of concept. And we did that. 1st January 2015 was like the official time when I practically started, and I knew that it is happening.
The hardest moment came when we started to realize how much of work it's going to be, how many hours of music we need. In Kingdom Come Deliverance, we have definitely more than 5 hours of music, which is quite a lot. It's like 200 something tracks. And when we realized that this is going to be like 1,000 tiny bits of music, spanning usually for one measure or two measures, like 4 seconds. But we had to compose each of them individually. We have to produce them individually. We had to test them. It was all, handmade. There wasn't any automatization, It was really hell.
The most critical part or most challenging part was to make it reliable. Because I come from an academic background, right? I'm a researcher of audio, and I'm like a scientist. I've run a bunch of publications, and I work at the university here, And for us, it's often enough that you make a prototype of something, and it works once, because you just need to demonstrate that it works, that your idea works. And as soon as you are done with your experiment, with your, let's say, proof of concept, you don't need to continue. You give it to someone else, and they just move on with that, right? They just carry on. Here, I had to see all the way through it. So it's a very, let's say, vertical slice of the entire game, from the content all the way to the signal representation and signal processing and all these kinds of things.
We make it hard to ourselves, and nobody was pushing us to do that, but we wanted. There is this saying, no idea survives its first meeting with the reality, which is what happened to us as well. Because, you can have as good design document, even on the music, as possible. I mean, Daniel was writing us some paper with a lot of information, what he wants. We were doing our own documents and papers and sheets and diagrams and whatever else. And it was all very good. It helped. On the other hand, it never went that way. You know, it was always quite a lot different. You do one thing and you realize, oh wait, that there are thousands of tiny problems you need to solve first. But with each step we ticked the box and the work was like bigger. And we ticked 2 boxes and the work was again even bigger than before. And it was expanding instead of, you know, getting down. And this happened on and on. You know, it was happening for most of the time actually, maybe 2/3 of the process of the creating of the soundtrack. Then the last kind of year was fine. We already knew most of the thing we needed. There were no more surprises, you know, nothing too complicated appeared. And the list of things to do finally started to shrink. And yeah, after that we were like, listen, we are finished. We were like, it's incredible, it's done. Yeah, what to do next? Nothing. Let's go have a beer. Again.
It was probably me, because I was implementing the prototype. So I think I was the first person to hear the music in the context of the game itself.
We had this saying with Adam, when I was sending him some new track, or he was sending me some of his, or when we were testing some functionality, some feature in the music. And after listening for a while, we were like, yeah, it gives. I mean, it gives. That's what it should do, you know. So the first idea I had when I saw it together with the game was the same. I mean, like, yeah, it gives. And it was actually, I wouldn't say I was surprised, because, you know, there was so much of preparation before this step, you know. Yet you are surprised, because it's very complex, and somewhere you keep a certain amount of uncertainty about whether you are doing it right or not, which is something I possess happily as a good thing, because once I'm 100%, 110% sure that what I'm doing is just fantastic, I will never evolve to make things better, I think. Yeah, this is the moment of truth. Is it gonna work? Is it gonna be good or not? And yeah, when this happened, we were again very, very happy. The great thing for working in Warhorse as a team was the beginning, because I was reading the script, I was reading the design documents, and I started to know the people from the studio. You know, the most important part of my job was going to have a lunch with them, with some of the people, and I started to realize who's doing what, who's responsible for what. And this is crucial, because when you want to make a real adaptive music for a real open world RPG, you need to be in a contact with the team a lot. You can't just sit somewhere in the glass tower, you know, on your own and make those wonderful musical ideas you have, you know, and it happen. This is fine. This is part of your work too. But still, it's music which you work on behalf of the game. That's the most important thing.
It was my biggest project so far, and actually the biggest organizational unit which worked for a single goal. Again, I'm from the academia, right? So I'm used to organizations which have several thousands people involved, right? But you always have like a small teams there. So what was really nice about this place was that everyone had the same goal. That we had to finish the game. We had to deliver the game. And so that defined our individual decisions. But it's not like that we would have like, you know, competing forces here, that one was diminishing the other and these kinds of things that sometimes you have in some organizations, right? It was not here. It was just this massive level of cooperation and the massive level of, let's say, professional performance of the individual members of the team. I mean, it's been a great experience.
I think it's amazing, you know. I know people say this very often, but I'm so proud being, you know, the guy who made the music for that. Jeez. Still feel like it's a dream.